All right, in this movie, we're going to finish off the custom emoji by adding the angry red eyes. And we're going to do so by combining multiple gradient fills inside each one of them. All right, so I'll go ahead and switch over to my artwork so far. And I'm going to add a few more swatches based on the standard RGB red swatch right here. And so I'll just go ahead and select it, and it really doesn't matter whether the fill or stroke is active. Then click on the little page icon at the bottom of the swatches panel, and I'll call this guy Red 1, and I'll change the color mode to HSB, and then I'll just take the brightness value down to 40%, and I'll turn on the global checkbox and click OK. All right, now I'm going to grab that guy and drag it and drop it down here into the folder, so right there at the end of the list. All right, now click on the little page icon again in order to create a copy of that swatch, and I'll just go ahead and name it Red 2, leave global turned on, switch back to HSB, and this time we want to take the brightness value up to 60% and click OK. And finally, click on the little page icon a third time, change the name to Red 3, I think predictably, and then I'll switch to HSB once again, and this time I'm going to take my hue value up to 10, and I'll take the brightness value up to 100 in order to produce this bright shade of scarlet. And then, of course, click OK. All right, now we want to select the eyes. So click in one, shift click in the other with the black arrow tool, and then switch to the fill here inside the gradient panel, and go ahead and grab Red 1 right there and drag it and drop it onto the last color stop. Then grab Red 2 and drag it and drop it onto the middle color stop, the one that's at a location of 90%. And then go ahead and grab Red 3 and drag it and drop it onto the first color stop, the one that has a location value of 50%. All right, now we need to add the white reflective highlights. So make sure your appearance panel is up on screen. If not, you can choose the appearance command from the window menu, and then click on the add new fill icon in the bottom left corner of the panel. All right, with this top fill selected, I want you to assign that white to trans gradient, which I've saved in advance along with this file. So I'll go ahead and apply it like so. And we want the angle value to be, I think, 90 degrees. Yeah, that looks right. And that way we're going from relative opacity to relative transparency. But I don't want it to be relative. I want it to be absolute. So I'm going to select that last color swatch and change its opacity value to 100%. And then I'll select the first color swatch and I'll set its opacity value to 0% like so. All right, now what I want to do is reduce the size of these fills and move them around. And so normally I would click on the FX icon, choose Distort and Transform, and then choose the Transform command. And I might take the horizontal value down to, let's say, I don't know, 60%, and take the vertical value down to 50% or something like that. I'm just making it up. And then I'll turn on the preview checkbox, and we can see the problem. This is why I'm making it up, is because this is not the way we're going to work. Basically, what's happening is we're seeing those cutoff edges at the top repeated in the highlight, and that's not what I want. So I'm going to cancel out, and instead, I'll go ahead and convert this fill to an ellipse by clicking on the FX icon, choosing Convert to Shape, and then choosing Ellipse. And notice that the preview checkbox is on. I don't want to expand these shapes to a relative size, so instead, I'll go ahead and select Absolute, and I'll set the width value to 24 points, and I'll set the height value to 56 points in order to produce this effect here. And then click OK to accept that change. All right, now we need to scoot the fills up a little bit. So you've got to retarget the fill by clicking on it down here in the appearance panel, and then click on the FX icon, choose Distort and Transform, and choose the Transform command. And then turn on the preview checkbox, and I came up with a vertical value of -15 points, which is going to move those highlights upward like so. After which, I'll go ahead and click OK in order to accept that change. And then I'll go ahead and zoom out by pressing Ctrl-0 or Command-0 on the Mac, and I'll click off of my path outlines to deselect them. And that is the final version of our custom emoticon, complete with red eyes shining with fury, thanks to our ability to apply multiple gradient fills to a single path outline here inside Illustrator.